Hey there, it's September 11th. I'm not going to say happy September 11th because it's not. But, I didn't realize when I was going to start a conversation about trust this week that it was the week of September 11th. I mean, I did, but I didn't. And I almost pulled it down because I'm like, oh, that's almost just seems, not very tasteful. But I'm the putz and, I'm the putz. I'm not always tasteful. I'm not politically correct. So, it's staying on brand. And I realized, I really felt guided to this. And maybe there's no better time to talk about trust than around an event when so much trust was lost. We lost trust in other people, other faiths, our government, and even our own safety in many ways. And how often are we taking events, it was now several decades ago, that broke trust and continuing to make new decisions and living based off of the results of those situations or traumas? So the first thing, it's a perfect introduction to the conversation of what's the first thing we do when trust has been broken. We have to reestablish trust in some way. How do we do that? We take our power back. When you feel like a helpless victim and you had no control over what happened, it's very difficult to work through a trauma. Take it from me. I've had a few. Whenever I've gone through a process where I take whatever accountability I can in a situation, maybe it's a little, maybe it's a lot, even though it's not always fun to look at, I get my power back. And that's when I feel better because there's something I can do to shift it in the future. A lot of times what happens with the trauma is post-traumatic stress disorders, we kind of don't know where it came from and we're constantly panicked that it's somehow going to replicate again. So a huge piece of taking our power back is the work that I happen to be doing on this channel, which is my thoughts create my reality, and I am attracting everything that happens to me. Now, obviously with something like September 11th, we don't just, it's not like I created September 11th or you did, but there's a collective attraction piece. So there's an individual attraction piece and there's a collective attraction piece. And we're part of a country that has been aggressive in certain ways and even a good defense. I mean, why did the Mongols invade China? Because China built a giant wall. That's why they did. They said, challenge accepted. You want to build a big wall? That's a challenge to me. I'm going to invade. So we say the best offense is a good defense, but really what we should be saying is an offense is a defense. A great defense is a good offense. What we should be saying is a defense is an offense. It's a way of making a statement of aggression and expecting aggression. And it starts that energy of maybe I need to attack before they attack me. And so we're going to dig into the Tao for this because I think it gives a lot of great insight. But there's a collective attraction and a personal attraction. And we get to take a look at our power in this and our thinking and the way it manifests in the world around us. And, this is going to be big for me this week of reestablishing trust on multiple levels and shifting where I think. And trusting a couple of areas like I have value and people want to work with me, and focusing on the wins and focusing on people want to hear from me and it's okay if I talk. I had this thing coming up that, I shouldn't be posting so much and people don't want to hear from me. And this is all lack of trust. This is all really old stuff coming up from old belief systems. And so I get to trust myself and I get to trust all that is, and I get to shift my thinking so that what comes to me feeds me and feels positive. Obviously, September 11th didn't feel positive for most of us. So we get to take our power back and take a look at how we attract things of that nature and see how we can begin to reestablish trust by knowing that we have the power to impact the events in our lives. So I'm going to start with the flip book reading. So on point as always today, it says every thought has creative power. Regardless of whether your thoughts are in the direction of what is wanted or in the direction of what is not wanted, in the direction of that which excites you and pleases you, or in the direction of that which you fear, which does not please you, every thought has creative power. As you look into your life experience from this new viewpoint, you may recognize immediately how it is that you have experienced and are experiencing that which you have drawn into your experience through your thought. Every thought is powerful, and any thought that is brought to mind often, even without the presence of high emotion, will eventually manifest into physical realization or actualization. But every thought is not equal in its ability to create or in its speed for physical manifestation. Thoughts that you set forth in combination with great emotion are the most powerful of your thoughts. So if we're feeling really afraid, there can be a lot of momentum there. That can be a very powerful thought for attraction. That's why it's really important to distract yourself if you're feeling really a lot of despair, a lot of grief, a lot of fear. I have attracted out of those places, and trust me, you do not want to get those results. It's not fun at all. We want to get that positive momentum going and high emotion on the positive side. See here, I'll pull out my emotional scale here. These emotions, while they do not have as much attraction power when we have high emotion associated with them, they don't bring great results. Up here has the most attraction power, but a lot of times we don't have a lot of momentum around those thoughts. We're used to building momentum around here, thinking about what worries us, what scares us, finding problems. But this is really where we need to get to up here. And these thoughts have extreme, extreme power. Okay. So thoughts you set forth in combination with great emotion are the most powerful of your thoughts, whether they are positive thoughts in the direction of what is wanted, coupled with positive emotion, or negative thoughts in the direction of what is not wanted, coupled with negative emotion. The strong emotion that you feel as you are giving thought indicates that you are bringing into physical realization that which you are giving thought to very quickly. So if we're feeling a lot of great emotion on those high vibrations, right? Joy, freedom, love, awesome, keep going with it. If we're really feeling fear, despair, depression, and also feeling high emotion with that, got to distract yourself real quick because bad things are coming. And when I believe I'm a victim and that bad things happen to me, I'm going to project that out and people are going to show up all over the place to victimize me. If I feel like I deserve to be punished or I'm unworthy, people are going to show up all over the place to prove that to me by disregarding me, showing me I am unworthy, and pouncing on me and rejecting me. And so it's an interesting space to play in, since I'm playing in an area, especially looking for a job where I feel naturally rejected and downtrodden on myself because of other things that have happened. And practicing feeling worthy and full. And a lot of this is trusting, even sharing on here. I've always had this thing that I should shut up and I'm really annoying when I talk. That is an ancient belief from things far more than 2 decades ago. But there was a loss of trust in myself and a loss of a trust in others. And I get to get my trust back in that way and realize I'm the one attracting the reality. I'm the one who's creating this, whether it's giant explosions or whether it's just simple comments and rejection. It has to do with my attraction point and where I'm at. And when I do that, I get my power back and I can reestablish trust, because at least I know where things are coming from. And at least I have the power to shift them. And it doesn't feel like so random that it can happen to me out of nowhere. Where is that deep sort of PTSD fear can come from? All right, now we're going to move into the Tao. Okay. The Tao has a lot of beautiful things to say about this relationship and how what we feel and what shows up, the reflective nature of the world. It says, let me see, is this where I'm going to start? Yes. To rule the country with force is a matter that cannot be avoided, as I see. Yet to hold the land under heaven with force cannot be undone. Cannot be done. Whoever does it will fail. Whoever tries to control it will lose it. If there is something that goes in front, there will be something that follows behind. If there is something that makes warmth, there will be something that cools it down. If there is something that creates strength, there will be something that makes it weak. If there is something that reaches its goal, there will be something that breaks it. Therefore, the sage stays away from opposing the rule of nature, from seeking luxuriousness, from doing what is against his own duty. Of course, there's a fly, right? Talk about law of attraction. I have an attraction point for distractions or things getting in the way of messing up my videos. And so here we go. Here's a fly. It's just a manifestation, right? Don't pay attention to what's manifesting, man. Don't look at conditions. Just stay unconditional. There's no fly. I don't see it. Do you? Next verse, to oppose the Tao. The ruler who rules his people with Tao need not show force with an army. If he who rules does so with the force of an army, the others will return with the force of an army. Wherever armies have marched, thistles and thorns grow. Whenever a great war has begun, crop failure and famine follow. Nature always reflects, and death begets death, is what this is pointing at. That is why a good ruler would not dare to flaunt the power of his army. He would not use the force to glory in the force. He uses the army, yet with reserve and dignity. He uses the army, yet with politeness. He uses the army just because he is forced to do so. That is what to show consideration and not force means. A strong army is like a creature in its prime. It will only grow older. This is the rule of Tao, and that is the reason why one should not oppose the Tao. He who opposes the Tao will meet an early end. And one more, to value the left, it says. Weapons are cursed instruments. They are something to hate. Therefore, he who holds the Tao will not use them. A virtuous man keeps to the left position in his daily life, but values the right in times of war. Weapons are cursed instruments and not made for virtuous men. He who uses them against his will handle them with great concern. One should regard victory as something ugly. He who regards it as beautiful enjoys killing and will not achieve his ambitions under heaven. A lucky event is honored by the left position, an unlucky event by the right. In preparation for war, a lieutenant stands on the left, a general stands on the right. This means that the matter is treated as a funeral. Cry with sorrow when many people are killed. Regard it as a period of mourning when the battle is won. Do not celebrate death and destruction. Begets death and destruction. I believe when we do things like that, we feel bad on the inside and we project out punishment in some way for us. So it kind of goes back to what I was reading in 8 Verses for Training the Mind yesterday about really thinking about everyone in a way of compassion and love. And I want to add, and seeing the human being in front of us, regardless of what they believe or where they're from, and not assigning labels, and especially right now with 9/11 and everything that happened there, seeing each person as an individual in front of us and not logging them into a compartmentalization of a religion or a label. And I want to add one more thing here from Emmet Fox, okay? It's called wicked. And it says the word wicked occurs more than 300 times in the Bible and is one of the most important terms to be found therein. In the Bible, the word wicked really means bewitched or under a spell. The law of being is perfect harmony, and that truth never changes. But man uses his free will to think wrongly, and thus he builds up false conditions around him, and then he believes them to be real. They look real, and so he forgets that it was he himself who made them, and thus he bewitches himself or throws himself under a kind of spell. And of course, as long as he remains bewitched, he has to suffer the consequences. We are hypnotizing ourselves into thinking these things are happening to us and not realizing that we have a role in it. Nevertheless, it is only illusion or a spell, and it can be broken by turning to God. God only wants love, beauty, and all of that for us. So it says, the wicked mean man flee when no man pursueth. It makes so much more sense to think of wicked as bewitched or under a spell. I love that distinction. Let us awaken from the spell under which the whole race lives and know instead that God is all power, infinite intelligence, and boundless love. And with that, I wish you a beautiful day going forth. Let's focus on love. Let's focus on forgiveness. Let's focus on reestablishing trust by putting the power back where it belongs and knowing that only good can come to us when we only focus on good and love for ourselves and for everyone around us. Be well, my friend.